Now, community has complained about different issues that are affecting young people, and the plea is that parents should come on board as well as different people to try and address these issues and different vices that are affecting the young people. Well, from issues of drug abuse, early pregnancies, and other things that we come across in our community are some of the issues that are affecting young people. Hosting you once again on the NGOCC Podcast, I'm Besa Cecilia Mungulube. And of course, I'm not alone. I'm joined by somebody who has a name like me. Now I'm super excited to host her. Welcome to the NGOCC Podcast.
Thank you, Cecilia. I'm glad to be here.
I'm excited to have you. Right, so she'll be the one addressing issues affecting young people. Do feel free, our dear viewers, to leave a comment in the comment section and just tell us what you think regarding the issues that are affecting young people, or perhaps just mention some of the issues that are affecting you in your community. So before we dive right into today's discussion, give us a background. Tell the people, who is Besa?
Thank you, Cecilia. So, like you rightly put it, my name is Besa Mwansa. I'm the Executive Director at Young Women in Action. Who am I? I'm a woman.
Nice. I love that one.
Yes, I'm a woman, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter. I wear so many hats, but professionally, I'm a lawyer by profession.
Nice.
But I think I've done more of development and human rights work compared to my legal background. Yes.
I have a case. Can we do consultation?
Definitely, we can talk
for
after
free.
This. Yeah.
Now, we are discussing issues affecting young people and being a legal practitioner, as well as holding the position of the Executive Director for Young Women in Action. But before we even go into issues affecting young people, perhaps you could just give us a background. What has inspired you to take this particular field in encouraging young people to take part in politics?
One of the motivating factors of me actually joining Young Women in Action is the fact that this is a youth-focused, youth-centered organization. And the passion for them to improve the livelihood of women, I think, is an environment that is very motivating. Also, like I mentioned, coming from a background of human rights and development issues, I think one of the things that motivated me is how do we encourage young women to step up? How do we take into account issues that affect young women? How do we even just provide a platform where these young women can freely come, can freely interact, but also find a place where they can be connected to different networks that will improve their livelihoods? So for me, Young Women in Action is my home
Nice.
because it's a place that I enjoy. I enjoyed my work. I enjoy the interactions we have with the young people, even the older generation.
Okay.
So it's really an interesting place to be found in.
The fact that you're interacting with young people means you should have a clear view or perspective of the different issues affecting young people. Tell us about them. What do you think are some of the issues that are pressingly affecting young people in our country?
I think the first is the hardships of the economy. I'm sure Cecilia can agree that the economy is really biting.
It's biting. It's economizing.
There are just so many economic issues and challenges that are now pushing young people, especially the young women, to just really go into vices that ideally they would not succumb to. So you'd find that there are issues around most of these, some of these young people are orphans. They don't have anyone who's sponsoring their basic needs. Some of them, yes, they might be, for example, in university or college and be on a bursary, but who's taking care of the other necessities, the food, the groceries? So you find that these young people are succumbing to various forms of illicit behavior just for them to have something to eat, just for them to have some lotion to apply. So those are really very, very basic things, but they actually have an impact on the way that the young women are living their lives. If we talk about the young girls, they also too have their own challenges, especially those in rural areas. There are issues of sanitary wear. You know, in Lusaka, it's funny how you can just walk in a store and buy a pack, buy a pack of pads, even as low as 8 kwacha, the NGOCC.
Yeah, in ShopRite.
In ShopRite. But when you go in these rural areas, they don't have that luxury. Some of them, even to find the 10 kwacha is really, really hard. So this menstrual poverty is real. So that also affects the confidence of these young girls in school, how they'll carry themselves in the community. Then again, economic hardships have brought about or have continued to contribute to early marriages. We see how most of these families that marry off the girls are actually less privileged. So for them, when this girl is married off, it's like you've taken one mouth of feeding from your table, but not really looking into where is this girl going, what will become of her. So early marriage also is one of the challenges. If we're talking about pregnancy unplanned, that too is really a big thing among young women. Most of them do not even know that you can actually go to a clinic and access contraceptives, you see, and they're actually for free. But then this is information that, as young women in action, we try as much as possible in our catchment areas to spread the word, to create the demand, so that these young people can access some of these services. You know, when you talk about sexual matters, some of them, yes, are abstaining, but we also have quite a number that are actually indulging in most of these things. So for us as an organization, our stance is we provide the information. We link these young people to the centers where they can get, if it's counseling that is needed, or if they need the service, can this service be provided? Then we have issues of education as well. I know we have free education up to grade 12 now, is it Form 5?
Form 5.
We have free education, but that also comes with its own hurdles. You see, for us as an organization, one of our advocacy issues has been on quality. What is the quality of this free education? If you're going to have a class of 100 pupils, how is the concentration span? You know, so those are some of the issues that we've continued to advocate for. We want girls to have access to quality education. Then the other issue that I can speak to is around decision making. One of our areas of interest is governance. As young women in action, we want to see young women in decision making positions. It doesn't matter whether it's at community level, even if you're a market chairperson.
It's all right.
It's all right. You are actually in a
start
leadership.
From somewhere.
Yes, you start from somewhere. Whether it's ward development committees, we want to see the young women speaking up. We want to see these young women also being at these platforms where they can also voice out and make decisions. So currently we have a project that is running. It's called Pathway. The purpose of that one is just to encourage young women to participate in decision making, to push those young women also to stand. So we've started at local government level because we feel they can start as councillors, and of course they can level up. We have those who are willing or have shown interest to actually start at National Assembly. That too is very, very much encouraged. But our involvement has been more at local government. And I think one of our success stories has been Tasila Lungu. The fact that she started out as a councillor and now she's a member of parliament. So for us, I think that's an indication that you can start from anywhere and still climb the ladder and still, make it to the higher positions of decision making. So I guess that's another area that we have seen. The numbers are very, very low. Even at National Assembly, I think we only have 1 or 2 young women. Local government, you will find very few female councillors. Not only female, but young. So there's that aspect as well. So the area of decision making, yes, it's also one of the challenging areas. The last is issues around gender-based violence. I think every day we are seeing this increase in defilement cases, which is very alarming. Every day a girl child is being defiled. And I think that is very, very saddening for us as an organization that champions girls and young women's rights. So to see this girl who's just from school being raped and killed, I think that's very, very alarming. It means that the girls are not safe. Not too long ago, there was the 3-year-old, then another girl who was being defiled by her own father. So those sexual violence cases also are just an indication that the girl child is not safe. For those young women in marriages, we've seen also how most of them have been succumbed to physical violence, emotional violence. Some of them will not speak out, but just from interactions, you can see that they're failing to thrive in their different areas of life because they have this oppression that is going on from their homes. So those are some of the challenges that I can speak to. But overall, young women in Zambia actually are facing challenges that are hindering their livelihood.
Wow, quite a number of challenges, and it was getting to my heart, really. This then brings me to this point where I'm now curious. I want to find out, looking at how the environment is currently, it isn't as conducive as it should be for the girl child and for the young woman. Do you think we are going to win at advocating for young women participating in decision-making, positions? Do you think we are going to win in the next 5 years? Are we going to have a productive society with a productive woman or girl out there, looking at how bad things are right now?
Well, I think speaking from an organization that is working closely with young women, I'm very optimistic. We have seen young women stepping up. Even in the projects where we are implementing, we've seen how young women are showing interest in becoming decision makers. So I think there's a lot of hope. What is needed is just to create an enabling environment. Like you rightly put it, we need the laws, we need the policies. We already have some of these progressive laws already. What we need is effort in implementation. What we need also is resources being channeled to ensure that these young people are well prepared for them to be able to take up these opportunities that will come along their way. Otherwise, even amidst the challenges, there's still a lot of opportunities that young women can actually ride on and still be successful.
Now, Besa, I understand you're a legal practitioner. Do you think the laws that we have in our country are impactful enough? Do you think they're doing a good job? Do you think the laws of the land have that stronghold where people should fear the law? Because constantly we get to see issues of defilement, like you mentioned. So do you think the law is doing enough?
The laws are there, the laws are stiff. But I think what is also needed is just more community awareness, more community engagement. I think each one of us needs to be very alert in what's happening in our neighborhood. It's not life as usual anymore. If you are children who live next to you or in the next yard or in the neighborhood, we need to take interest. How are these children being taken care of? This time it's not about, oh, it's just me and my
Your
household, but we
children.
need to look out for each and everyone. The Anti-Gender-Based Violence Act, for example, it actually places a responsibility on all of us to report. So it's not about, oh, usheni Bruruanga, or, what's my interest in this case?
Yeah, it's none of my business.
No.
It's happening in their household.
No, the law places a responsibility on all of us. If you come across a case, you have the responsibility to report. So the laws are there. What is needed is enforcement. How is the enforcement done? It's each and every one of us taking the responsibility to report the cases. Most of us will just look and just shun away. You don't want to be seen. You don't even want to be a witness. But isn't it better that you're a witness to something that is going to bring about justice? So I think it's time that we seriously take our responsibilities. But also, every child, every woman that you see is a potential victim. So what are you doing about it? What are you doing to safeguard a fellow woman, a child, whether it's a boy or a girl? Each child requires or needs that protection.
Now, we've seen a number of cases. Of course, there's issues where the boy child is also affected, but more on the girl child. We've seen, I'm sure you've come across this video that was trending on social media that I came across, where this girl was confessing, saying, every time my mom is not around, my father sleeps with me. And the other one also confessed and says, even me, my father sleeps with me. Like you gave an example of another girl who was found dead and defiled. It would be issues of, I was working in the evenings around 18 hours and the girl was beaten up and raped. Those are the issues that we are constantly facing. Why do you think we as society and as a community, we are doing enough to address these issues that are affecting young people?
No, I don't think we're doing enough. If we were doing enough, we wouldn't be having this increase in cases. Every girl child would be safe to walk in the street at whatever time. But then these issues are actually, if you look at most of these perpetrators, you find that they're not people from afar. These are well known.
Yeah.
In some cases, they're actually related to the victim.
Especially in the household, the father, the uncle.
Yes,
And now I'm
yes.
wondering, where is the safety of the girl child? Even the boy child, because even issues of sodomy now,
Yes,
you
there was
know,
an increase.
yeah, there's an increase in those issues. So now I'm wondering, where are children going to get the protection from? Where are they going to seek that, that shelter?
That is actually supposed to start with each one of us. Like I said, we all just need to take interest and take responsibility. I think now we are living in a culture of each one for himself.
Good for us.
Good for us all. Because if you look at the upbringing of our parents and grandparents, it's like when you're a child, you're a community child.
Yeah.
Everyone will take interest in what you're doing, who you're talking to. You can be walking and any parent can scold at you if they're not happy with your behavior. But nowadays,
Don't scold at my children.
You can't. So that also has made a lot of people to refrain from providing support and security for a child that is not theirs. But I think we need to go back to that good culture of a child is a community child. Even if they're not your biological child, how do you step up as an adult to protect that child?
That's very true. Well, issues currently. Really, it gets to me. Besa, you mentioned issues of early pregnancies, early marriages. Do you think there's ever going to be a time, or let's say in the next 5 years, when you look at the statistics as young women in action and then different community engagements that you have done, are you seeing a win in terms of advocating for early marriages and early pregnancies, especially in rural areas? Remember, the economy is bad, okay?
Yes.
So the economy is bad. And as you mentioned, people in rural areas, when they marry off a child, it's about financial benefit,
Yes.
It's more centered on financial benefit. There's all these traditional norms and culture that they are still fixated their minds on, and they still think once a child is in their puberty stage, they need to get married. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So do you think that there will be a time when we can say we are going somewhere in terms of advocating against early marriages and early pregnancies, especially in rural areas?
Yes, I think the efforts are there. So it's just the consistency in what we're doing, because we don't work in isolation. YWA, there are other organizations that are doing similar work. I think our efforts really are not going unnoticed. We just need to continue with the work. We need to continue with awareness raising, because, changing a mindset does not happen in a day. Sometimes it might even take years. So you might think that what you're doing is not happening or it's not making an impact. But go back to that same area 3 years, 4 years later, then you'll be able to see. But I feel that from experience in the community, there's a lot of room for financial investments. Because if you're talking about early marriage, so what will these girls be doing? The interest in education, this formal education that we undergo, in the rural areas is not the same. The interest is not the same. Here, every girl child, most of them want to go to school. When you ask them, so what do you want to be when you grow up? They'll tell you, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a pilot. They have all these aspirations. But when you go in these rural areas, most of these girls do not even have a dream. They'll just tell you, okay, yeah, maybe when I finish, or if I do, maybe I want to be. They'll stick to 2 professions. It's either teaching or nursing. Because that's all they see. Other than that, I'm going to get married, have my own family. That is all they see. So there's really a lot that needs to go into financial investments. Can we develop skills for these girls? Even if you don't go through formal education, can you still get a skill, get a trade, and still be able to be financially independent? That also will delay them rushing into marriage. If it's pregnancy, that's a different story also. Like I said, most of these young people do not know that they can access services, even if these services are free. So it's also about awareness raising. But also I feel that there's a lot of casual attitude. Even the PrEP. The PrEP. Most of these are now taking it as maybe an appetite booster, It's very saddening that young people would be so casual about their own health. So if you talk about pregnancy, we still have a long way to go. We still need more and more information sharing about sexual and reproductive health. And we just need to package it according to the age groups that we're targeting, because each one of them are in different phases of life.
Yeah.
So packaging the information for the rightful audience, but also still be able to send out the right information and linking these young people to service providers that will be able to help them.
Now, very insightful information you've given, Besa. Some of the issues affecting young people currently is peer pressure and lack of employment, which we can't run away from. But let's start from peer pressure. How do you think a young person out there watching you, a lawyer and an executive director for a great organization, by the way, how do you think they can be able to avoid peer pressure and not succumb to it?
I think one of the ways to succumb peer pressure is you need to know who you are. How do you know who you are? You need to be assertive. You need to have a direction in life. If you don't have those, believe me, you easily succumb to different vices. So I think for me, my encouragement for the young women is that we need to invest in ourselves. Is it the other day when I was speaking to the media about the same issue? They were asking me, why is it that most of these young people are now succumbing to, I want an iPhone.
Exactly.
Or, I want
as of hundreds.
I want these expensive clothes and shoes. If you look at that Beijing plus 30 conversation we had at UNZA.
Yes.
Have you seen how the older generation invested so much in their education? You hear Dr. Watts, Professor Watts, but look at where we are as young people. How many are going as far as even just a degree?
And a degree.
It's a struggle.
We've become so comfortable.
We've become so comfortable in, I can still make money off men and still live a good life.
Yeah.
So what happens if these men are not there? You see? And how many of them are going to be your sponsors? So how many of the young women are actually investing in their education, whether it's formal or informal? How many are actually doing that? Financial literacy is also very important. Their health as well. How many actually, we know these cancer awareness months and all these. How many of us young people actually take the time to go for tests, to go for cervical cancer screening? Those are the things that as you grow older, then you start having all these health complications. Whereas from before, you actually did not invest in your health.
Yeah.
If you were talking about alcohol.
Yeah.
Before it was the young men, patronizing bars. But now it's the young women who are now topping the list.
Why is that happening, Besa? Can you find the solution to that?
It's the young women now, because you find that others are even moving with their babies.
Yes.
They'll be seated patavin with
a child early in the morning, actually.
So what is happening? So those are some of the issues that we need to address. Currently, we just embarked on a project we're calling it Epondi, Count Me in the fight to eliminate drug and alcohol abuse among young people. It's been implemented in Kanyama and Chirundu. So the idea there is we want the young people to step up, to be the ones in the forefront to abash this behavior. Because at the end of the day, we're not being taken seriously. If you're going to be drunk all the time, how do you even get a job?
Oh, no, seriously, how do you get a job?
How do you even go to the chambers as a counselor?
Well, I'm the person.
So those are some of the things that we really need to take seriously. Why are you resorting to alcohol? Are there psychosocial problems? Yes.
Because sometimes, really, if you get to interact with these people, you find they just don't want to get to work.
Yeah.
There are some that just don't want to work. They just want money to come where they are seated.
Yeah.
And I think that's what is even causing some of the young girls out there to find themselves indulging in issues of sugar daddies and prostituting. But
I think we still need, like you were saying, we still need to talk about these things. What are those pressures?
My pressure.
Can we have conversations and talk about
around them?
Yeah, so that you get the necessary help. Because again, if we're talking about increasing numbers of women in decision making, who are the women? If we're going to have half of us drunk or half of us behind bars, maybe because you committed a crime because you were drunk or things like that, we're still going to lose out. So we need the numbers. And if we're to build on the numbers, we need each and every woman or young woman participating meaningfully in different platforms. So we need to address what are the pressures. We need to talk about it. Let's create the platforms where we can talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from peer pressure, we also addressed another issue that I actually mentioned, which is the issue of lack of employment.
Yeah.
Perhaps you could just give us your remark regarding this particular issue.
Yeah, and unemployment is a big thing. We are very much alive to that fact. Like you said, everyone wants stability, financial stability. You want to get a salary every month. You want to have a source of income that is definite
Yes.
and secured.
Yeah.
But then when you look at the employment market, really, it can only take in so much. So this is a time when we as young people need to think outside the box. How do you still earn a living? You know, how do you still establish yourself in whichever platform and still be able to support yourself financially? So those are the things that now we need to sit and dialogue and find a way to go about it. There are some who are thriving in their own businesses. There are some who have just started their own initiatives and they're doing fine. You know, they don't even think of getting a formal job. So where we are now, I think we need to start thinking outside the box. Every month there are graduates. Every month people are graduating.
With degrees,
With
diplomas.
Masters. Because if you look at the number of universities and colleges in Zambia, there are so many. So many. So meaning there are thousands and thousands every intake that are graduating. So how do you still find yourself? So maybe this is a conversation now we need to start having with policymakers. How do we create an enabling environment that is going to help young people thrive? Even as women's organizations, Young Women in Action, NGOCC, and these other different, how do we still take on board these young people and help them find something that will earn them a living?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've got issues of junkies in the community. And I want you to talk about it. In case you have just tuned in or in case you've just opened this video, you are watching the NGOCC podcast with me, Besa Cecilia Mungulube. And of course, today I am not alone as per usual. I am joined by Besa, who is the Executive Director for Young Women in Action. And of course, she is tackling different issues affecting young people. We want to know what the Young Women in Action are doing about it. We want to know if you know that these people exist and they're doing the most in these communities. And of course, they have different initiatives that just currently going on in order to supplement government's effort, but also to make the world and Zambia at large a better place for the young girl and for the young women out there. I want to talk about junkies in communities, in labours. Do you think the girl child is being more concentrated on compared to the boy child? And this is a question that I ask on most of the podcasts. Because there's Young Women in Action, there's NGOs, there's all these different organizations. Of course, I know NGOCC is advocating for positive masculinity also. So there's that engagement of the boy child in their advocacy. As Young Women in Action, do you have any male children? And also, how are you addressing these issues of junkies that is currently going on in the community?
Okay, so as Young Women in Action, we're part of a network called Men Engage Network. This is a regional network of different organizations on the continent. So for Zambia, we have Men Engage Zambia. So this comprises of different community-based NGOs and different institutions that are championing male involvement. So we're actually the outgoing secretariat.
Oh, okay.
But it's been part of that network that has linked us to just ensuring that we have the male voice. We have seen how working with the men and the boys has also shown some impact. I'll give you, I think this is one of the stories that I remember very well because it's one of the activities we had on the Men Engage Zambia network activities. So we went into this school, and then this boy was talking about how, this is a 15-year-old. He was talking of how a man should not marry an educated woman. You know, even him, he would not consider marrying an educated woman. And we're looking and we're saying, this is a 15-year-old. Where is he getting that mentality
from?
Where is he getting that information from? So it means that there's no mentorship for the boys. There's wrong information going out there about masculinity. there's another school that we visited where this boy was even boasting about having, is it 5 girlfriends within the same school?
That's the issue.
You know? So you see how it's so cool for the boy child to be seen in a certain light. But that is not positive masculinity. So under that network, we've been doing a lot of positive masculinity trainings. There's even a campaign that is ongoing. It's called the Men Care Campaign. The idea there is how many men are also taking part in parental care. You know how in most homes it's always the mother
men.
to cook, to wash, to take this child for under 5, to go to the PTA meeting.
All of those activities.
Yes.
Children errands, it's always mama.
It's always the mama. Even when this woman is in hospital, she's expected to still do and make it happen.
Yeah.
So the Men Care Campaign is one of those campaigns that encourage men to take on, it's called unpaid work. And honestly, it is unpaid work. I'm a mother. I have 3 babies now.
Wow.
I don't get paid for that job. You see? It's like you still have to work.
Whether you like it or
Whether
yes.
you like it, you don't get paid for it. You see, you have to take your child to the clinic for growth monitoring. Who's going to pay you for that?
Yeah.
You know, you have to do the school runs. You have to prepare the meals. Sometimes you even have to do the laundry. We don't get paid.
That's a sad reality.
We don't get paid for that. In fact, in our communities, a housewife is looked down on.
Yes.
But in all honesty, they're the ones who even do most of the work.
Yes, that's true.
But they don't get paid for that work. So the Men Care is saying, look, even you as men, can you also take on this unpaid work? And I should say, Cecilia, some of the men that I've interacted with, they actually have very brilliant ideas.
Wow.
On the advancement of women. Most of them have very brilliant ideas. So it's those engagements that we get to learn. They also give us strategies. Oh, you know what, have you considered doing it this way?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can be one-sided as a woman and you're constantly,
doing the same
routine and same work. But if you engage with some of these men, they have very brilliant ideas for advocacy. How do you scale up the work that you're doing? So we can't overstretch the fact that we need the male voice in whatever we're doing.
Well, perhaps before we wrap up, I know we are running out of time. You could maybe just encourage the boy child out there, in as much as you are engaging the young men out there. There's issues of junkies in our communities, as I mentioned. So perhaps in your concluding remarks, you could maybe touch a little on that, and your word of encouragement also to that young girl out there who is watching, and perhaps how could they be part of the Young Women in Action, and generally just your word of encouragement to the young girls out there, but also address this issue of junkies. What are you doing about it as Young Women in Action?
The boys.
The boys.
I have an interest in boys. I now have 2 boys. The issues of junkies, we need to continue talking. We need the city council, local authorities to take it seriously. If you're under 18, you should not even be found taking alcohol. You know, we need these strict measures to just curb. Even the time these beers are sold, or these different alcohol, whatever brands, there's already a restriction on the time. So can we just really stiffen enforcement of these laws? Let's also maybe we need to also invest in different extracurriculum activities for the boy child.
Yeah.
Maybe we should actually take interest. You know how we have all these indabas for the girls, we're having these conversations. I think we also need to invest that with the boys. I know most of them would rather go for sports, but honestly, we also need to start having conversations.
Looking forward to something like that from the Young Women in Action.
Young Women in Action, like I said, we are implementing the EPOND project.
EPOND project. This
is a 5-year project. So we're hoping at the end of 2028, we should be able to see a reduction, at least, of junkies.
We're hoping on you. We're counting on you.
We should be able to put in the effort, but we're very open also to getting ideas. So please, Cecilia, feel free to reach out to us and say, oh, for the junkies, I'm thinking maybe this could work.
Yeah.
But for the girl child, the future lies inside you. There's so much potential. Seize every opportunity that comes. Right now, it's girl child. Seize the opportunities. Get the mentorship. Get in school. Concentrate on school. Certain things can wait. So
Certain iPhones can wait. Let's use Androids.
iPhones can wait, the
Let's
cars
use Androids.
can wait,
Yeah.
the fancy clothes can wait. For now, pick your hard, and the hard here is investment in education, in your health, in anything that is going to uplift your livelihood, really. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Besa, for gracing us with your presence here at the NGOCC Podcast. I'm super excited and I'm so happy that
My pleasure.
you
Thank
made
you.
time to come and chat with us. Of course, I have been chatting with Besa, the Executive Director for the Young Women in Action, and we were tackling different issues that are affecting young people. I hope that you, our dear viewer, has learned something from today's conversation and that you are going to be the impact that you want to see in your community. Don't forget to subscribe and, of course, ring that bell so that you don't miss out on any of our postings of this podcast. My name is Besa Cecilia Munguluve. Stay tuned.